Right now, the British royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history. But if you thought the Prince Andrew scandal was the end of the changes that are coming under King William V, let me tell you, you are wrong.
This is not just a scandal. This is a slow-motion collapse hiding behind carefully staged smiles. And it begins with the truth so explosive it almost feels unreal. Prince Harry is losing everything tied to Princess Diana's name, while Prince William doesn't even have to fight to inherit it. And the deeper you look, the more disturbing it becomes. Because every single piece of this unraveling puzzle points to one chilling question: how did the legacy of the most beloved woman in modern royal history turn into a battlefield between her own sons? Look closely at what unfolded around the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's death, because nothing about it feels accidental. The timing, the optics, the choices, they don't just raise eyebrows, they practically demand answers. What should have been a solemn, sacred moment of remembrance turned into something far darker, something almost unrecognizable. Emotional blackmail, public manipulation, and a growing sense that something deeply wrong is happening right in front of everyone, yet somehow slipping through unnoticed. Because while the world was watching carefully curated images and polished narratives, behind the scenes, a completely different story was brewing: a legal war that nobody saw coming. A charity built in Princess Diana's name, a charity that was supposed to represent compassion, dignity, and selflessness, is now actively suing Prince Harry. Let that sink in for a second. A charity created as a tribute to Princess Diana has turned against the very son who helped build it. That is not just ironic, that is explosive. And the more you trace it back, the more it feels like a pattern rather than an accident. Centerbell, the charity co-founded by Prince Harry and Princess So in 2006, wasn't just another royal initiative. It was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be the one thing nobody could question. A project rooted in real impact, helping vulnerable children battling HIV and poverty in Southern Africa. For years, it stood untouched by controversy, almost protected by the emotional weight of Princess Diana's legacy itself. But then something shifted, slowly at first, and then all at once. By 2025, Prince Harry stepped down as patron, and what followed in 2026 was nothing short of a legal earthquake, a high court case, a direct confrontation. And suddenly, the narrative flipped completely. The prince who once symbolized compassion through action was now standing in court defending himself against allegations tied to the very organization meant to carry his mother's spirit forward. And here's where it gets even more intense, because across that legal table sits someone who was not intimidated, not impressed, and certainly not backing down. Dr. Sophie Chandulka, a name that keeps resurfacing like a warning signal in this entire saga. A corporate lawyer, a powerful executive background, and someone who has already proven she isn't afraid to challenge royal authority. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Think about the tension in that room. A prince accustomed to influence and legacy, facing a woman whose entire career has been built on dismantling pressure and standing her ground. That is not just a legal clash, that is a collision of worlds. And the details coming out of this conflict, they don't calm the storm, they intensify it. Boardroom fear. Silence, professionals reportedly hesitant to challenge Prince Harry. Allegations of behavior described as belligerent, claims of bullying, harassment, and something even more serious, misogynoir. Suddenly, the charity isn't just a charity anymore. It becomes a stage where power dynamics, identity, and accountability collide in ways nobody expected. And then comes the moment that changes everything: the Miami fundraiser. Because this is where things stop being internal and spill out into public chaos. A charity event meant to raise funds for vulnerable children becomes a logistical disaster. A Netflix camera crew arrives unexpectedly. Board members are blindsided. The original venue pulls out. Costs spiral overnight. What should have been a carefully planned fundraiser turns into a scramble for control. And just when it seems like things couldn't get more chaotic, Meghan Markle enters the scene, unannounced, alongside Serena Williams. The attention shifts instantly. The purpose blurs. And suddenly, the line between charity and spectacle becomes almost impossible to see. But the real turning point, the moment that lingers, the moment that refuses to fade, comes during the trophy presentation. Cameras rolling, eyes watching. And in one brief, uncomfortable exchange, Sophie is reportedly asked to step aside so Meghan Markle can stand beside Prince Harry for the perfect photo. It lasts seconds, but it says everything. Because that single moment raises a question that echoes through the entire story: when does a cause stop being about impact and start being about image? And if that wasn't enough, what follows feels even more unsettling. Requests for public statements, pressure to defend narratives, a refusal that cuts through the noise clear, direct, and unapologetic. The charity, Dr. Sophie insists, will not become a tool for personal public relations. And just like that, the lines are drawn. But here's the part that truly shifts this from controversy to something much bigger, because now it's no longer just about reputation. It's about legal reality. Prince Harry is no longer controlling the narrative. He's not choosing the timing. He's not setting the stage. For the first time, he's not the one bringing the case. He's the one defending himself in it. And just when it feels like the situation has already reached its peak, the reality takes an even darker turn, because what comes next is not just uncomfortable, it is potentially devastating. The legal process moves forward, and with it comes the phase that seasoned legal experts described with a single chilling word: nuclear. Disclosure, not rumors, not speculation, not carefully managed press statements, but raw, unfiltered evidence. Every private email, every internal document, every single message connected to the case. And suddenly, the story is no longer about what people think happened. It becomes about what can be proven line by line, message by message, under the unforgiving light of a courtroom. Think about the implications of that for a moment, because this is where the pressure becomes almost unbearable. Conversations that were never meant to leave private phones. Words written in frustration, in strategy, in moments of complete honesty. Every exchange between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle about Dr. Sophie Chandulka. Every discussion, every opinion, every reaction potentially laid out in front of judges, lawyers, and eventually the public. There is no editing, no filtering, no second take. Just the truth, whatever that truth turns out to be. And the situation tightens even further because the rules are brutally clear. There is no easy escape route here. Deleting messages? That doesn't make them disappear, it creates another problem entirely. Under English law, destroying evidence during disclosure is not just frowned upon, it is illegal, which means every decision made now carries weight, consequences stacking on top of consequences, turning what was once a controlled narrative into something dangerously unpredictable. But even as this legal storm builds, another controversy erupts, one that feels almost surreal in its timing and its symbolism. Because while court proceedings begin to shape the future, something happens at Althorp that pulls the past into the spotlight in the most unsettling way possible. A private visit. A quiet moment that should have remained exactly that private. And then, suddenly, it isn't. A photograph appears, carefully framed. Prince Harry walking alongside Archie and Lilibet, flowers in hand, moving along a path that leads somewhere unmistakable. The final resting place of Princess Diana. And within hours, confirmation follows, the location identified, the intention implied, and the reaction instant and overwhelming, because the backlash is not subtle. It is sharp, direct, and emotionally charged. Words like ghoulish surface again and again, echoing across commentary, analysis, and public response. And the reason cuts deeper than the image itself. That place was never meant to be a stage. It was chosen specifically to avoid exactly this kind of attention, to protect, to preserve, to keep something sacred away from the noise of the world. And yet, here it is shared, circulated, dissected. The contradiction is impossible to ignore. Calls for privacy on one hand and deliberate exposure on the other. Intimate family moments presented to millions. A narrative that doesn't quite align with the actions surrounding it. And the timing raises even more questions, because this wasn't released in isolation. It appeared right alongside another moment already capturing attention: Prince William marking Prince George's milestone. Two narratives colliding in real time, competing for space, for headlines, for focus. And suddenly, the pattern becomes harder to dismiss. Repetition, echoes of the past, visual parallels that feel too precise to be accidental, references to Princess Diana that go beyond tribute and start to feel like replication. And each new detail adds another layer to the question that refuses to fade: where is the line between honoring a legacy and using it? Because on the other side of this unfolding story stands a completely different approach. Silence, deliberate, consistent silence. No images, no announcements, no carefully timed releases, just private visits, private moments, and an absence of spectacle that speaks louder than any statement ever could. And that contrast, it becomes impossible to ignore. As the 30-year anniversary approaches, the tension shifts once again, this time toward a single event that could redefine everything: the Diana Award Gala, the last shared connection. The last remaining space where both Prince William and Prince Harry are still tied to the same legacy. And suddenly, every detail surrounding this event feels loaded with meaning. Plans are made, timelines adjusted, opportunities created, and behind it all, a clear intention begins to emerge. A chance to stand together, to be seen together, to reshape a narrative that has been fractured for years. Because an image, just one image of both brothers under the banner of Princess Diana, would carry enormous power. It would suggest reconciliation, stability, a return to something that feels familiar, even if it isn't. But there is resistance, firm, unwavering resistance. Because for Prince William, the boundary is not flexible. It is defined, reinforced, and protected with absolute clarity. The legacy of Princess Diana is not a tool, not a backdrop, not a moment to be leveraged for visibility or validation. And that position doesn't shift no matter how significant the event becomes, which leaves everything hanging in a delicate, uncertain balance. One brother pushing toward visibility, toward presence, toward reclaiming space. The other holding the line, refusing to blur it even under pressure. And the outcome? It remains unresolved.